Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. I'm glad to be alive. And the fact that you listened to it, you made it to today, huh? So I'm glad you are. Oh, for my negative affirmation people, stop overthinking. You're the only one who cares. Ooh, bites, but you gotta deal with that, right? All right, so it's Friday's PowerPoint day. This quote is coming from me. Rumi's poem, "Come wanderers, worshippers, lovers of leaving. Even if you've broken your vow 1,000 times, come again. Ours is not a caravan of despair." And so we learn from the Buddha, with our thoughts we make the world. We are what we think, having become what we thought. As an ox pulls the cart follows the ox. So we are what we think, having become what we thought. As a shadow faithfully tails a person, so does negativity follow the person who doesn't realize what's going on with their thoughts. We are what we think, having become what we thought. Watch your mind. Eventually, you can read, go to lectures, learn stuff, but you got to work the field yourself. You can't live off other people's ideas. You got to own it, as we say. That's the only way you make it real in your life. You can talk about it, but what you don't live, it's not as real for you. What we do repeatedly, we are what we do repeatedly, says Aristotle. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And there are models of skillfulness, but they can be poison to some people, like say one person's honey is another person's poison. One of the Chinese proverbs is, when the wrong person uses the right means work in the wrong way. So you got to be wise, and this is why it's good to sometimes have a teacher, because our self-deception knows no end. Now, I usually come at it first from the musculoskeletal aspect. Don't want to overstep the reach or the boundaries of what yoga can do, but start off with the musculoskeletal system. And if you don't take care of your body, dysfunction can become debility, and debility can become derangement. And then not even physical therapy can help you. So it behooves you to take care of yourself, make the commitment to your health, quality of life choices on a daily basis. But it's not only your physical being. Your psychological, emotional, spiritual being is also part of this. That's why I think of it as an alchemical transformation. You got to transport the dead stuff, the lead, the primal material of your life, the gunk, right? The problems, the karma that's unfinished. That's where you're going to find balance in your life, by going directly into it instead of avoiding it. But realize you have the remote control of your mind, right? You're trying to understand the ecology of everything. Don't let negative pictures play on the movie screen of your mind. You own the remote control. All you have is the ability to use your awareness. Change the channel if you don't like it. When you can take the pebble from my hand, when you can take the remote from my hand, you can watch any station you want. Old kung fu mindset, right? All right. Now, suffering is grace. I know this is a weird thing to think about, because there's so much apparently unjust suffering, unnecessary suffering. But in the suffering where there's something you can do about it, you realize that there's an aspect of your own life which you can choose to turn it towards a positive phrase. Like if somebody fasts for 2 weeks after listening to a lecture on health, and they come back and say, "Hey, I felt so good, I'm going to do it for another week." I say, "Great, you're doing great." Then I walk out on the street, and a homeless person comes up to me and says, "I haven't eaten for 3 days." I don't say to him, "Keep going for another 7. You really clean yourself out." Because the person who chooses to fast, it's self-imposed. And so whatever potential deprivation, negativity, or suffering they seem to go through, it's chosen. So they accept it, and they turn it into something positive. But the person on the street, they don't have that mindset. They are really suffering by not having food, because that's what they believe they need. So sit in a contained space, right, where people can hold on to what it is that you're sharing, and you can open up, let your vulnerability out. Okay. Everybody has a primary mask stamped on them, put on them by the society. We're taught how to talk, how to look, what to do, how to behave. But this kind of impassioned refusing to look beyond that, to look at your center. Otherwise, you can't think carefully. Think clearly. You can't feel fully. You can't articulate intelligently or problem solve. And that's when you have to throw off the primary mask. usually in adolescence. All right. So next is your self-worth greater than your inner critic? So many people have that voice of impossibility, right? The X shadow in their life, always denying everything, putting it down. I can't. I'm not worth it. I must be perfect. I can't make a mistake. I'm not good enough. Nobody loves me. Wow, what a burden to carry around if you can't find any positive self-esteem. So who's going to mirror? Who's going to admire you? Who's going to recognize what you have? Well, this is what I call soul loss. As Deepak says, soul loss is regarded as the most serious diagnosis and the single greatest cause of premature death or serious illness by the traditionals, and is not even mentioned in our Western medical methods. This is something you have to deal with yourself. You're expecting too much from the doctors, too much from the therapist, too much from anybody outside yourself. They can give you a clue, but you got to carry them off with it. So, soul loss, where you're disconnected from the depth of yourself. How do you do this to yourself? How do you do this to others? And then that leads you, so who recognizes you? You got to put yourself in a position where somebody realizes, sees you like an avatar. I see you. Because if you don't feel recognized, you go down that negative, self-deprecating slide, and then you feel you have no clout, that you can't do anything that's important in the world or make a difference. So always ask, what challenges are you facing? And are you facing it with power? Like Don Juan says, if I gave you the secrets of the universe, but you had no personal power, it would do you no good. You got to work on yourself. And if you work on yourself, you'll find out you have many gifts. So what gifts, first of all, haven't you named for yourself? And then once you name them, what's the purpose of having them? You have the pearl of great price. You keep it for yourself or do you give it away? So use whatever it is that you recognize you're naturally drawn to and flows out from you easily, effortlessly. Those are your gifts. Share them with everybody. Oh, look in the mirror. Which bit would you alter first? With all the culture. So many things that we face are put upon us by a culture that is not really involved in the benefit of the human being, but on keeping its own search engine going. So why are you going to do this now? Can't take it anymore. What don't you still accept about yourself? Things that the culture has probably told you is wrong with you and that you're trying to measure up to their standard. Don't do it. So it always comes back to the musk deer. The baby musk deer went to its granny and said, I'm seeing this fabulous smell coming from I don't know where. The granny says, oh, you smelled a fabulous smell? Why don't you go check out the four-leggeds? Maybe they're the ones who are doing it. So the deer went and checked out the antelope and the wolf and the moose, the elk. She came back, Granny, it's not coming from them. Oh, not coming from the furred ones, huh? All right, why don't you go check out the fish? Maybe it's coming from the finned ones. So musk deer went out to the lake and started sniffing around. Not the catfish. It's not the bullfrog. It's not the pike. It's not the bass. Came back. No, Granny, it's not any of the finned ones. Maybe it's some of the birds. Go check out our feathered friends. So the deer went around and checked out the robin and the gull and the eagle and the hawk and the no, not coming from them. Came back to Granny. Well, Granny, it's not the furred ones, it's not the finned ones, it's not the feathered ones. Who could it be? She said, why don't you smell your own navel? It's coming from me. It's coming from me. I hope you get the message, my friend. The living spirit, the absolute, unconditioned, indivisible, universal, non-denominational spirit is within yourself. Look there, find it, and let the beauty out that you have.